Where? Naghang na Sir Earl. Hi, Ma'am Vanessa.
Nawala na ako. Sir Ken, pwede po bang pakigawa po ako muna host?
Okay na, okay na. Okay ka na. Nawawala na.
Sige po. Sir Ken, sino yung naka-host? Meron po ba sa atin yung Ma'am Vanessa, naka-co-host ka? Pwede pong ikaw na lang mag-record ng lecture. I can't record kasi hindi ako naka-host.
Yung technical naka-host, tapos co-host si Ma'am Yumi tsaka si Ma'am Bomba.
Okay. Sir Ken? Sorry po. Sir Ken?
I-PM mo kaya sa
Yeah. Sorry po for the delay.
Yumi, naka-laptop ka, no?
Opo.
Naka-cellphone ko. Co-host ko ta ako. Kaya lang naka-cellphone ako. Baka di man ikaw
Okay.
naka-cellphone. Kasi di ka naka-co-host naman.
Okay. Ma'am Lizelle, naka-laptop ka po?
Phone. Pero I can record.
Sige po.
Yeah.
Pwede po pa-record. Sige. Okay. Thank you. Once na naka-record ka na po, Ma'am Lizelle, let's start na. And Ma'am Vanessa can take over. But I can't share screen. Hindi ako maka-share screen. So let's do it. Ganito na lang. Okay.
Start na.
Ma'am Lizelle, nakaka-record ka na po?
Recording.
Yes. Starting na.
Okay. Ma'am Vanessa.
Okay. Start. Diyos marhay na hapon sa Satuya, Agabos. That's good afternoon in Bicol. Welcome to the 5th and last day of the Balongibog lecture series entitled Situating the New Normal and Advanced Education in Bicol. I'm Vanessa Macy Romero, a math faculty of the Partido State University, moderator for this afternoon. Before anything else, in behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to thank you all for tuning in with us in this week-long lecture series. We hope that our lecture series have helped in making your time a productive time for learning amid this pandemic. We also would like to acknowledge the presence of our colleagues, if there's any from CHED, fellow colleagues from JRMSU, and from other SUCs. Continuing, I would just like to reiterate some guidelines for this lecture. First, we are streaming live on Facebook via the Museo de Isarog FB page. We also would like to inform you that this is a recorded lecture. May we also remind our Zoom participants to mute their microphones during the lecture. Also, we'll be having an open forum after the lecture. Everyone is encouraged to ask their questions, clarifications, or comments to the speaker. You can directly ask her by raising your hand or unmuting your mics later. And lastly, participants can also type in your questions and comments in the chat box for Zoom participants or in the comments section for our FB participants. This podcast series is sponsored and organized by the Partido State University through the following academic centers. Center for Partido Studies, directed by Dr. Danilo Herrana. Partido Institute of Economics, directed by Roland John Bulao. Museo de Isarog with Earl John Hernandez, curator. The College of Arts and Sciences, headed by the Dean, Dr. Erlinda Basilia. The School of Graduate Studies, headed by the Dean, Dr. Bernadette Gumba. The Office of University President, Dr. Raul Redesina. The Office of the Board Secretary, Ms. Lei Ann Odoña, and the PECU Museum student volunteers. Today's lecture will give us a better understanding on the big data, how it is defined, what are its types, where it can be found, and how it can be analyzed. Our lecturer for this afternoon is a licensed professional teacher and a faculty member of the School of Graduate Studies of Partido State University since 2018, and currently the director of ParSU Statistics Center. She also taught in Ateneo de Naga University, where she started her career as a faculty in 2000. She obtained her Bachelor of Science in Statistics from the University of the Philippines, Las Bañas, and her Master's of Science in Management Engineering from University of Santo Tomas, Legazpi, where she graduated magna cum laude. Aside from being a passion-driven teacher, she is also a researcher and a dedicated statistician. Without further ado, may I turn over this virtual stage to Ma'am Yumi Vivien V. Dalun.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all the participants who took their time to participate in this webinar. I hope you'd be able to get valuable insights dito sa talk. Okay. Okay, so my talk is on what's the big deal? A talk on examining big data analysis. Okay, have you encountered this on your FB lately? A massive amount of data about the global COVID-19 pandemic has been generated every day through different means. Several surveys have been conducted online to determine readiness of the faculty and students in the adoption of the new normal. As we transition to the new normal, social distancing has constrained us from face-to-face connections and communications. This change has affected our access to information. We are left with the option of utilizing data which we can access online. With the new normal, we are discovering and exploring the big data which can help us in our research, improve our instruction as teachers, develop learning skills, and so much more. Most of our activities will be online and the big data will be part of us, whether we are the users or the contributors of it. So this talk will discuss big data analytics and will specifically examine the two words big data and data analytics. Okay, so before I start with my discussion, I would like to present you this short video.
So we constantly produce a lot of data. For example, via social media, public transport, and GPS. But it goes way beyond that. Daily, we upload 55 million pictures, 340 million tweets, and 1 billion documents. In total, we produce 2.5 quintillion bytes a day. That's a lot of zeros. It's ridiculous. We call this big data. But what's actually more important is what you can do with it. To process big data, you don't need huge computers. People work with the cloud, an endless network of normal servers, and powerful algorithms. This way, they can analyze over 1 million pieces of data in minutes. And the result? Well, for example, video streaming website Netflix analyzed the big data of their viewers, like popular shows and watching patterns. This way, they produced a successful series with the perfect combination of actors, directors, and storyline. Right now, the big data of traffic is being analyzed to develop a car that can drive completely accident-free all by itself. And in the future, we can even use the big data of DNA to determine the perfect treatment. This way, curing genetic diseases like cancer would become much easier. And that's just the start.
Okay, so the video has pretty much defined what big data is, but there's more to hear from my discussion. So big data is defined as the data set whose size is beyond the ability of typical database software tools to capture, store, and manage and analyze. So if you look closely at this definition, you can see that it is framed in terms of time. It uses the word typical and thus refers to current state-of-the-art technology. So what we call big data 10 years ago may not be the big data now because of the typical tools and technology have changed. And what we call big data now may not be the big data in 5 years, and its definition is always in conjunction with the newer systems. Okay, so to determine whether the data is big, so I would like to give you first a background of what big data means. Okay, so we consider the 4 V's that characterize big data. So the first one is the volume. So pag sinabi natin big data, malaki yung quantity niya. So refers to the quantity of data to be stored. If you look at the infographics, the storage capacity is in terms of zettabyte or familiar lang tayo gigabyte. Okay? So to give an idea kung gaano kalaki yung big data that is stored in the net, yung popular in Walmart, a popular mall in US, deals with big data. So they handle more than 1 million customer transactions every hour, importing more than 2.5 petabytes of data. So I mentioned about petabytes. So to give you an idea, yung laptop po natin, ang pinaka high-end na laptop can store 2 terabyte. So yung mga big data is in terms of petabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte. So ganun po kalaki. Kaya hindi siya kaya ng simple hardware natin na ma-store. Okay, and another feature po ng big data is the velocity. Okay, so velocity, this refers to the speed which data by which data is being stored. Okay, so for example, Zalora or Lazada captures every click of the mouse while shoppers are browsing on its best websites. So this happens rapidly. Okay, another feature po ng big data is variety. Okay, so this refers to the complexity of data formats. So yung data po natin, pwedeng structured, pwedeng unstructured. Okay, so pag sinabi po natin unstructured, they are essentially everything or anything else, and they do not follow any format. So for example, when you send your email, it could be in any format. Okay, when you write your messages in the Facebook, magpo-post ka, again, you can do it in any format. Okay, while structured naman has predefined models. Example, sa mga airline reservation system, meron na dun mga naka-fix na variables na mag-e-enter ka na lang ng information mo or value. And it follows a particular format. And then lastly, okay, veracity. Okay, so the more data is collected and analyzed automatically, but not captured in the entirety, the higher the uncertainty of the accuracy of the data. Okay, so data is being generated everywhere, businesses, healthcare providers, governments, education, institutions are all collecting huge amount of data. Okay, so what is challenging in big data analysis? Okay, so pag nag-analyze na tayo ng big data, ito yung mga ma-encounter natin. Okay, so first of all, the data access. Okay, so it is difficult to access required data from poorly integrated database system. And it will also be hard to develop data warehouse for all the institutions. So hindi po lahat ng mga academic institutions merong data warehouse or database. Poor quality and incorrectly formatted data from less accessible database system can cause significant problems. So majority of the big data is used for commercial purposes to increase profits, provide better services, or gain competitive advantage. Thus, organizations are hesitant to share their data with outsiders. Even when some allows their data to be accessed, they usually apply restrictions to certain portion of the data or impose rate limits on the amount of data that can be accessed. So this makes it difficult for researchers to access data. Good news na lang po sa mga social sciences researchers kasi karamihan po ng mga government websites promote open data portals. Okay, another challenge would be the inconsistent and incomplete data. Okay? So data cleaning becomes an important task for big data analytics. So as the amount of data increases, it may contain higher percentage of error. So how to deal with missing or incomplete data? Usually kaming mga statistician, we would suggest na tanggalin yun, data na yun na hindi kompleto yung information. Okay, so another case for inconsistent and incomplete data, meron tayong mga data portals wherein, for example po sa PSA, sa Philippine Statistics Authority, some of the data there are in regional level lang. So walang available in provincial na open access. And then, next is the heterogeneity of data. Okay, so this refers to how much the data differs across the data we are looking at. This includes differences in data format, number of missing values, level of detail, or length of time period for which data is available. So this actually becomes an issue when we bring together from unconnected sources. Okay, so when I did the terminal report for carrying capacity, I had to reconcile some values, like for example, yung mga land area ng mga locations namin. Yung mga land area usually were gathered from government sources, but we have to verify it using the satellite images, mga GPS sa Google Earth. So doon, hindi sila nagtutugma. So there is heterogeneity of data doon sa mga data na nakuha namin. Okay, another example wherein nakaka-encounter tayo ng heterogeneity of data, example ng isang study is the Drinking Water Management Plan. We connect population data from government sources with data from environmental sensors to determine action towards a drinking water management plan. The data from these different sources will need to be carefully matched to ensure valid analysis results. Okay, so the next one is the data privacy and protection. So I don't know if you have encountered this already while opening websites. Now you are asked to accept cookies. Okay, ayan. Okay, so usually ang tendency natin is ina-accept natin kasi baka hindi tayo maka-access dun sa website na yon. Pero for us to be sure, okay, minsan kasi bigla na lang tayong mag-accept without knowing kung ano mga magiging consequence nun. So we have to read privacy terms to determine the intent of the use of the information. So data privacy and protection is not just important for individuals. Organizations also need to have their data and intellectual property protected by policies and laws. Okay, so saan po nanggaling yun data natin? So karamihan po yan nanggaling sa World Wide Web. Okay? So the timeline gave us an idea kung gaano kalaki yung mga big data na meron sa World Wide Web. Okay, so very briefly lang, i-discuss ko lang yung timeline. Okay po? So in 1990, we call this the Web 1.0 or the readable web. There was minimal interaction by users. Users passively receive information from websites, and there was little opportunity for user input. A static website contains information that does not change. It remains the same or static for every viewer of the site. So hindi po nagbabago. Naka-fix lang yung mga information na nandun. So that was the website in 1990s. So in 2000, they call it writable web or the Web 2.0. users started to participate much more in the creation and distribution content on the web. Social media such as Facebook sprouted quickly, allowing users to post and share their experiences online. User-generated content became the defining term of the period. And then ngayon, in 2010, we call that the executable web. Okay, so this time, we can connect our mobile phones, cars, homes, and other things to the web, spawning what we call the Internet of Things. Humans are assisted by small machine, algorithm that generates insights, provide recommendation, and personalized services based on the vast amount of data gathered. Okay, so how do I classify big data? So Professor Erniel Barrios, Professor of Statistics from the School of Statistics, UP Diliman, has classified big data into three. So the first one is the social network. So they call this the human source information. So what are the example of the websites na nagpo-produce ng mga big data on social network? Okay? So, ayan. So sabi dito, okay, maraming mga users ang 2 billion users, networking sites and apps have availed of big data through online social media. Okay, so yung first na i-represent ko na example ng networking site is the Facebook. Okay? Kasi ito yung pinaka-famous na na platform na ginagamit natin. Okay, dito sa Facebook source, actually Facebook is a rich source of big data, specifically qualitative data. Okay, bakit? May mga researches na dito kumukuha ng data. Like for example, there is one research na it is all about assessing the profitability and marketability of mga Facebook online shops. Okay, so this researcher compared the different marketability of these Facebook accounts by basing it on the feedbacks, reviews, comments ng mga consumers. Okay, so that is one sources of big data. Another thing po is you can actually conduct FGD sa mga Facebook group. Okay, so interaction in this platform actually can elicit more views, more opinions from your respondents. Kasi tayo mas comfortable tayo pag hindi face-to-face and mas na-formulate natin ang ideas natin pag sinusulat natin rather than pag sinasabi. Okay, so you can actually conduct this one. And then, okay, ayan yung sinabi ko kanina na may mga, this is rich sources of qualitative data. Okay, if you also remember, yung first slide ko was conducting online survey. So again, you can conduct online survey through this platform. Okay, so another social network na pwede natin pagkuhanan ng big data is the ResearchGate. So this is an example of, okay, so pakita ko yung actual, ayan. Okay, so this is the ResearchGate. This is an example of academic social network. So it has been utilized by scholars to share publications, seek collaborators, communicate work in progress, and build scholarly reputation. Actually po, dito sa ResearchGate, okay, if you will allow me to explore this one, marami po kayong pwede makuha ang big data dito. So publications, there are publications na merong mga raw data. So all you have to do is just ask permission from the author if you could use the raw data. And not only raw data, you can also make use of their research instrument. Usually in research data are sources of our related studies kasi karamihan po dito nakapublish na. So just to give an example, ano po, this is my ResearchGate account. For example, I would like to research on study on farming assessment. Okay, so publications. Okay, so makikita natin dyan, may mga iba't ibang, nasa may left side yung iba't ibang publications. And then, may mga iba na you can request for full text, hindi siya available, open access. May mga iba na you can just download them. Okay? So, ayan, marami kang pwedeng gawin dito. These are big sources of big data. Specifically, mga references mo para maging rich yung theoretical background ng study mo. Okay. Ayan, so this is just an example. And then another opportunity na binibigay nitong academic social network na to, the ResearchGate, is that once na subscriber ka po dito, you will get invitations to collaborate with other researchers. So in this case, yun pong ang magiging impact nito sa inyo. So you'll have a wider and deeper exposure to research. Okay, so maraming opportunities yung pwedeng ibigay ng website na to. Okay? So going back to my Okay, so we have, of course, the Facebook. Another example is the ResearchGate. And then this one, I would like to show this to you. So this is another example of an academic network site na big sources ulit ng big data. But this time, yung big data na sinasabi natin refers to the massive, yung ino-offer niyang massive courses. Okay, massive courses online. So this Future Learn is a website that has tapped several leading universities worldwide and organizations, and it offers massive online courses. Students, teachers, professionals may avail of this. This is one opportunity that we may grab as we face the new normal to capacitate as online learners and teachers. Of course, you have your model, yung sa UPOU, and then you have also, marami actually mga websites na nag-o-offer ng free online courses. So again, just to demonstrate yun sa Future Learn. Actually, I've just finished a course here. Ang course ko is Data Analytics. And ngayon, enrolled ulit ako sa isang university kasi nakatap ko sila sa iba't ibang university wherein I am taking course on survival statistics. So just to show you the interface of the Future Learn. Okay, so makikita po natin dito na okay, so dito sa Future Learn, okay. So you can actually, okay, you can choose different topics. Okay, so explore two subjects. For example, so may tatlo siya, kunwari, business, management, health. Kunwari teaching, okay, if you press this one, okay, so it will give you different topics, interesting topics kung saan mo gusto, how to teach, inclusive teaching. Okay, for example, I'm going to click teaching math. Okay. Ayan. So makikita po natin dito na in teaching math, meron 13 free online courses na pwede nyong i-take. Ayan. So bakit malaking opportunity pag ginamit natin yung mga big data offered by these websites? Hindi ka lang natututo. Actually, yung course na kinuha ko recently, meron akong mga pwedeng magamit doon ng mga materials like video clips, meron mga case studies doon na pwede mong magamit pag nagturo kayo. Okay, so very useful, very informative. Ayan. So that is ResearchGate. And then, okay, so another big data that we could get from this academic network sites would be yung mga sources po ng open education, OER. Okay, so I just mentioned a few. We have the Bookboon, Connections, Merlot, and of course we have the DepEd. Okay, recently DepEd launched its own open line learning platform, the DepEd Commons, itong number 4. Okay, so this one, DepEd Commons to support public school learners and expanded its features to cater to private school students. Okay, bakit useful ito sa atin? Kasi di ba gumagawa tayo ngayon ng modules? Okay, so this could be the sources of our instructional material. So again, just to show you one, right, which is the, okay, wait lang, hindi ko siya ma-press. Okay, Bookboon, ayan. Okay, so this actually gives us, this actually provides more than 1,000 free ebooks. You can download textbooks and business books in PDF format without registration. So again, just to show you this one, ayan. Okay, so this is the interface of the Bookboon. Okay, where you can choose any books ebooks for free. So for example, gusto kong tumingin ng libro sa statistics. Ayan. And then search. Okay, so yan, lalabas yung mga iba't ibang books for statistics for free. Okay, free to read. Okay, ayan. So these are ebooks. So marami siyang usage. Maraming pwedeng maitulong sa iyo sa atin yung website na yon. So these are just an example of OER. Okay. Okay, so those are examples of websites under social network. Okay, and of course, may mga other ano pa tayo ng mga social marketplace. I will not include anymore kasi yung focus ko would be on types of big data na pwedeng tumulong sa atin sa education and then sa research. Sa YouTube, again, these are rich sources of educational materials. Maraming mga tutorials dyan of different topics, of different subjects. Blogger and Twitter, I've read na may mga research na, again, they base their qualitative data on this one. Like yung mga feedbacks, reviews on a particular topic, on a particular service, ganun. Okay. Before we move pala dun sa next, dun sa Facebook, yun mga data dun sa Facebook has also been basis for decision makers. So if you observe nung pandemic, maraming mga government officials na nagkaroon ng direct communication with their constituents through Facebook. So from there, nalalaman nila kung saan yung areas na kailangan ng tulong, ano pa yung mga hindi nabibigyan ng mga relief goods. So basically, naging sources siya for decision making ng mga government officials natin. Okay. And then the second type of big data is this one, the traditional business systems or the process media. So example of this would be public agencies and government portals. So ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na swerte ng mga gumagawa ng mga studies sa social sciences kasi marami pong mga government portals na open access na you can use their data. Okay, so one example of this is this one, the PSA OpenStat website. PSA is the Philippine Statistics Authority. So OpenStat is an open data platform providing statistical data. So this system allows the PSA to share data under an open data license where data can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone without restriction. So yung experience ko lang po dito sa PSA kasi when I was looking for a particular data, nasa regional level siya. Pero when I talked to one of its personnel ng PSA, sabi nila, pwede naman daw mag-request. For example, ang data may is on municipal level, although it's not available online, pwede ka naman mag-request nun, mag-request and then they can provide you they can provide you the necessary data that you need. Okay. And then I'll show you another website na very useful. Okay, that can give you raw data actually. Okay, so pakita ko po sa inyo yung website ng Philippine Institute for Development Studies. Ayan po, nakikita niyo sa taas, may lumabas na, ayan, use a third-party service to analyze. This service does not, okay, data generated. May privacy policy sila. Okay. Okay, so ano po yung pwede natin makuha dito sa PIDS? So aside from PSA, again, marami pong mga government portals na nagbibigay ng mga raw data which you can explore, which you can use pag nag-conduct po kayo ng research ninyo. Pwede nyo magamit sa instruction nyo, materials ninyo pag nagturo kayo. Okay, so just to show you this website, yung Philippine Institute for Development Studies, pakita ko po yung data set nila na pwede nyo po magamit lalo lang sa mga estudyante ng political science, MPA, public administration. So, dito may makikita kayong database. Ayan po. So, just click that one. And then, may makikita kayo dito. Okay, economic and social database. So, okay, i-click natin economic and social database. Okay, so, sa left side, may makikita kayo dyan mga, dito actually po yung mga raw data niya. Okay, so suppose we click economic statistics or social statistics. Okay, so health population. So may makuha kayo, for example, I want to click health. I want to get data dito. Ito yung kunwari, dito na kailangan ko sa research. Ayan, so may makikita kayo dito, these are the raw data. Okay, available po itong mga raw data na to for further research. Ayan. Okay. May also mention, other than yung mga usage ng mga raw data dito sa mga government portals, yung may kinandak pong survey yung DILG, Department of Interior and Local Government, na in partnership with School of Graduate Studies. Nag-conduct po kami ng survey last year regarding CSIS, the Citizens Satisfaction Index Survey. And natapos na po yung survey namin. And we were informed by the DILG na if you want to do further research, you can use the data. You can use the raw data. So, yun, pwede pong, they're open to using their database, yung mga results po ng mga surveys nila, ng mga census nila for further studies. So all we have to do is just alamin lang natin tong mga available data na to kasi malaki yung opportunity na pwede ibigay nila sa atin, lalong-lalo na pagdating po sa research. Ayan. PIDS, okay. So I will also show you the, okay, wait lang. Hindi ko siya masyadong ma-open. PIDS. Wait. Okay, this is the website of WHO. Again, you can gather big data from this website. Okay, so dito, this is World Health Organization Philippines. So makikita natin dito, meron sa right side, Philippine Situation Report. So dito makikita natin yung mga data na pumapasok on COVID-19. Every, yan. Okay. So updated naman sila. Okay. Okay, June na to, June 2020. So let's open one para at least magka-idea kayo. Kasi you can use this one again to analyze yun mga trends kung nag-i-increase o nag-decrease. Or meron din dito mga discussion which could be basis for your qualitative data. Okay, so ito po yung laman niya. Kung may mga raw data siya, ilan yung confirmed recovered deaths for specific date. Ayan. Okay, so all you have to do is just think of a specific research objective para magamit natin yun mga data na to. Okay, so this is the website of WHO. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so PSA, Department of Finance, again, you have different raw data that you can use as researcher. And then the third one po is the internet or the machine generated. So example nito, yung mga data generated by fixed sensors. Okay, so ang ibibigay ko po example nito, yun po sa mga Google Earth, satellite imaging, satellite data. These are big data na generated by machine or the internet machine generated. Okay, so sa PAG-ASA DOST website, this is an example of big data na machine generated. Of course, the data on weather, flood, rain, wind speed, temperature, humidity. So just to cite an example of a specific study na gumamit ng mga data on using the PAG-ASA data, isa-cite ko lang yung study ni Engineer Carla Dar. Okay, so yung study niya is on suitable crop recommendation based on environmental growth factors. Okay, so using the artificial neural network. Actually, dito ang mga ginamit niyang data are data from PAG-ASA and data from Bureau of Agricultural Resources and Department of Agriculture. Lahat po yung historical data. Hindi sila nag-conduct ng survey. So ginamit lang nila yung mga data from their database, of course. And then from there, they come up with this particular, actually ginawa nila parang program yata or software. Okay. So again, this is another usage of big data in research. Okay. So yan, may mga advantages saka downside of using this data. Of course, these are rich sources of big data, the social media. People can form connections with other people and have access to content. They can use content on the sites for both information and entertainment. Organizations can benefit through cost savings and timely feedback. Of course, kasi usually pag pag nagkanda ka ng survey or pag kumuha ka ng data mo sa social media, hindi ka nagagastos sa transportation. Pag nagkanda ka ng survey, hindi ka na magpiprint ng mga forms mo. And of course, time efficient. In just one click, pwede mo ma-distribute yung survey forms mo sa maraming tao. And at the same time, in few clicks, marami kang pwedeng makuhang data. Of course, the downfall would be the security. Of course, may news tayo sa CNN the other day na during the work from home setup pala, cyber hacking has increased to 500%. Okay. Okay, so how do we get insights from data? Okay, so may idea lang tayo ng big data. Paano tayo, how do we extract relevant data? Okay, from this big data. So diyan po papasok yung data analytics. Specifically, usually po yung data analytics, this is being used by researchers. Okay, of course, researchers, decision makers, mga project implementers, policy makers. Okay, so you extract relevant information from your data. So meron po tayong cycle. So we start with data selection. So sa data selection, this is finding the right data for your needs, determine the variables or pertinent data that will answer the objectives or purpose of your study or survey. Actually, minsan na-overwhelm tayo pag naka-open tayo ng isang website tapos ang dami-daming raw data, parang gusto mo kaagad lahat gamitin. But you have to stick to the objectives of your study. So ano ba yung mga variables that will answer the objectives of your study? So you can focus on that, okay, for data selection. And the next one is the data pre-processing. Pag sinabi po nating data pre-processing, we clean the data to avoid false results. We remove missing data or incomplete data. So usually pag marami kang data na nakuha, meron dyan mga respondents na may mga incomplete data. So usually kami mga statistician, we advise to remove that. Pero sa mga profiling of the respondents, profile variables, minsan included yung missing data. Naka-state na lang na may missing data on this particular variable. Pero pag nag-correlate na tayo, when we determine significant differences, sa data pre-processing, usually tinatanggal namin yung missing data kasi it will distort the result of the analysis. And then next step is the data modeling or data analysis. So sa data modeling, more on kasi to, parang sa engineering, yung data modeling na term. Okay, so sa data modeling, you find pattern in the data by using computer algorithms. Okay, so it's either data modeling or data analysis. So sa data analysis po na part, okay, dito po papasok. So these are just a few of the data analysis methods that we can use to analyze big data. Okay, so of course the first one is through the use of statistics. Okay, so dyan po papasok ano bang appropriate measures descriptive measures ang kailangan sa data. Okay, para mas for you to be able to characterize your respondents. Ano gusto mo gawin sa data? Are you going to determine their relationship? Magko-correlate ka ba? So ano yung appropriate statistical test for that? So usually dito is either you apply parametric, non-parametric, correlation, or regression analysis. Okay, so siguro let me take this opportunity to promote na rin kasi in line with this big data analytics, ang Partido, although it is still in the planning stage po, ang Partido State University in partnership with the School of Graduate Studies will be conducting an online tutorial on data analysis using Microsoft Excel. Actually, tatlo po siya. Data analysis using Microsoft Excel. Lahat po siya online tutorial. Second is data analysis using Minitab. And then the third one is data analysis using SSB, the Simplified Statistics for Beginners. So kung hindi po namin siya masisingit ngayon June, July, this coming first sem, we're going to conduct that one. Kasi alam namin na marami nagpapatuloy ngayon ng research na kailangan ng statistical help. Okay. And then we have the econometrics. Okay. So this refers to the application of statistics to economics data. So usually, nagpo-formulate po dito ng mga econometric models to better understand the relationship of your economic data or variables. And then we have the machine learning. This refers to statistical methods implemented on a computer, allowing computer to automatically improve on the analysis of the data. So may example po dyan. Example po ng isang machine learning is the WEKA. W-E-K-A is a powerful yet easy tool for machine learning and data mining. So this is being used by most mga engineering sa field ng engineering. And then you have computational. This refers to software development techniques which uses high level of programming languages used for data analysis. So this software enables the user to apply computational methods for data analysis. And then we have simulation. Actually, ito more on engineering, computer engineering, machine learning, sa optimization. So simulation refers to the process of generating 1,000 numbers of samples. Infinite calculations are made to obtain possible outcomes and probabilities for any choice of actions. Ang pinaka-famous po na simulation method is the Monte Carlo. Siguro yung mga math major, kung nandito si Sir na... Okay. Yung sa mga math teachers, I think you're familiar with the Monte Carlo simulation. Okay. So this is one method in using data analysis. And then we have also optimization. So this refers to the process of comparing different choices, procedures, models, equations, treatment for determining which might be the best. Okay. So these are just a few of the data analysis methods that we can use to analyze big data. Okay, so let's go back po dun sa data analytics cycle natin. So after you analyze, you have your data visualization wherein this time you present now your results. So how are you going to present your results? Are you going to present it in table, in graph na maiintindihan ng tao? Okay na, kunwari walang background sa math, pero pag nakita niya yung data mo, mas maiintindihan niya. Walang background sa statistics or hard science, pero yun na nga, madaling makuha yun information with the type of data presentation that you will be using. Okay, and then you have your data interpretation wherein you relate the findings to your needs. And then lastly, you have your action wherein you decide the next step based on the insights from the data. So lahat ng proseso na ito may common na goal. Okay, so it's either you'll be pwedeng maging solution ka sa problem, remedy sa isang problem. You can use it for improvement, for innovation. Okay, so this is the data analytic cycle. Ayan. Okay, so this is an example of data visualization. So you call this infographics. Okay, ayan po. And then before I have a few slides na lang, but I want to insert this one, the big data in the education sector. So there are lots of essential data in the institution, only that hindi siya masyadong na-analyze. Okay, so usually sa education, meron tayong tinatawag na learning analytics wherein we analyze karamihan po ng ang focus natin dito is on the students. So meron tayong mga tools ngayon like the Moodle, the Google Classroom, Blackboard Analytics, the Gizmo, which we can use to analyze data of our students. So very timely po kasi next week, our ODET training will be introducing the Moodle. So dito, at least mai-introduce tayo sa isang learning analytics so we can analyze the data of our students. Okay, just to show you an example. So this is one model in using the big data. Okay, ang importante po kasi dito palagi is the database. Meron, yung institution ba natin may data warehouse or may database ng lahat ng ito. Student profile, student coursework, LMS is the learning management system, SIS is the students information system na pwede nating pag-isahin. Okay, and then we have here, pipili tayo ng appropriate data analysis technique, and then from the results of that, that would be basis for decision making sa enrollment, student success, teaching and learning, academic advising, and research. So this is just an example of the use of the big data analytics in higher education. Okay, so we've seen na maraming benefits na pwedeng magbigay ng big data. Okay, so big data analytics involves making sense of large and complex database. It has become rich sources of raw data for researchers, basis for decision making, and decision-making and policy and project implementers. We have also seen the opportunity it offers like massive online courses, trainings that capacitates oneself as learners and teachers. We have also seen relevant materials which we can use for instruction. So the availability of this big data gives us the opportunity to be still or be more productive in this new normal. So wala pong, kumaga, wala tayong lusot na hindi tayo makakagawa ng research, hindi tayo makakagawa ng thesis natin, hindi tayo makakagawa ng dissertation natin. Because there are this big data na pwede natin i-explore na makakatulong sa research and of course sa instruction natin. And, okay, so again, this is another parang equation from this source. Big data analytics with the proper data management will result to performance excellence. Okay, so just to end this, I will end my talk with this quote from Peter Sondergaard, head of research, former Gartner's head of research. Information is the oil of the 21st century and analytics is the combustion engine. Okay, so thank you po.
Thank you so much, Mom Yumi, for that very informative lecture. So at this point, we are now open for questions from our participants in the Zoom and via Facebook.
Okay, wait lang. How can I show myself?
Okay naman. Yawan ka na.
Okay, nakikita niyo po ako?
Yes.
Okay po, sige po.
So while we are waiting for the others to type in their questions, so ako na po munang magtatanong.
Okay. Yes po.
Yes. So you have mentioned the big data and some tools on how to process po yung big data. So may I ask po if can you give us some examples of your works wherein you have used big data, yung application?
Okay, actually marami po. For example, may mga clients ako, like for example sa medical sciences, mga doctors who have been using big data like yung mga medical records. I just recently may nagpa-consult sa akin na ang data niya is from 2010 to 2015. So buti kasi meron silang database. Hospital siya sa Manila, and then the study was about prevalency of a particular illness and then study of its risk factors. Actually marami. Mostly mga medical sa field ng medicine na gumagamit ng mga big data.
How about, ma'am, for those who would like, for those students who would like to venture into studying of big data, what advice can you give to them?
Siguro first of all, dapat meron silang specific, ano ba yung research field nila. Okay, kasi ang nangyayari kasi ngayon, mauuna yung big data, tapos saka tayo mag-iisip ng research natin. Dapat sa mga estudyante, alamin nyo muna kung ano ba talaga yung interest ninyo. And then, dun sa interest ninyo, saka tayo mag-explore. And I think dito po papasok yun, IT staff natin, kasi pwede silang tumulong kung paano mag-explore ng iba't ibang websites. Mas marami silang alam. Once they have chosen their field of interest, and then pwede natin silang tulungan kung saan sila pwedeng makakuha ng data. And of course, pagdating sa data analysis, malaking tulong na pwede natin mabigay. And pwedeng mabigay na tulong mo, Ma'am Vanessa.
Yes. Last question from me po. Are there any prerequisites or subjects that a student should have taken po in order for him or her to work in big data, or ano po bang kailangan?
You mean
background
for big data analysis specifically?
Yes.
Big data, statistics. Kasi alam natin na siya sa mga, ang nakikita ko lang kasi sa mga, like, yung mga tools na pinakita ko, may mga simulation and optimization na tinuturo sa mga computer engineering, that particular data analytics. Pero kung hindi kasi engineering yung course mo, like for example, other course, ang nakikita ko doon na applicable na data analytic method is statistics. Okay, so I think background on that would help if you want to explore on big data analysis. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. So we also have here another question from the Zoom group chat from Partido Institute of Economics, Partido State University. Are there big data courses in ParSU, baccalaureate, and graduate programs?
Ano po?
Are there big data courses
Actually, wala.
in PSU po ba? In BS, either BS or graduate programs?
Okay, wala akong alam na nag-o-offer. Pero if you have seen my presentation a while ago, marami pong mga online courses which offers courses on big data analytics. Actually, yung tinake ko po last time na natapos ko pa lang is a topic on big data analytics. And you can, actually marami pa pong mga courses na dealing on big data. They can explore on that. Hindi nga lang siya offered sa mga universities, pero pwede nilang ma-explore yung course or yung topic through this platform.
Thank you po. Any other questions from our participants?
Van, I have a question.
Yes po. Go ahead.
Ma'am Yumi, good afternoon.
Afternoon po.
So, ako kaya, I came from the traditional statistics, from my undergrad to master's to PhD. Talagang I collect my own data, primary source. Tapos, very specific ang sakuyang research problem. Tapos, very specific man ang source of data. Tapos, usually, ano lang siya, locally based, sarong barangay, sarong province, or sarong region. I appreciate big data, yung nga siya, since big data covers greater portion of the population, importante siyang maray sa public policy making, tapos decision making, and even national government programs or even international sa araw ko. How can I itong bagang anong mga recommendations mong adjustments or how do I adapt as a researcher from mas contextualized na data analysis and interpretation jumping into big data analytics?
For example, ma'am, kung sakali ang gagamitin niyo na po mga big data.
Oo. Ano ang
sa tingin ko po, unang-una, may I ask po yung statistics background, yung data analytics background po natin? Okay.
Ako? Ano lang
Kasi,
ginamit ko?
Kasi po ma'am, regardless kung big data siya or locally generated data po siya, I think pareho pa rin po naman yung statistics na i-apply mo. Only that yung sources lang naman po yung different. Another pa po ng mga big data is may mga iba po kayang mga data po nakukuha locally. So may inaapod po kitang proxy variables na pwede po makuha sa big data. For example, na available po sa mga website. Like for example, po itong study ni Tintin sa vulnerability, may sarong specific variable duman na they may nakukuha sa mga locally, pero available po siya duman sa pag-asa. So may data po duman. So in that case, may mga nagamit kaming data as proxy variables na they available locally po.
Oo. So in other words, di mo man kay puan bayaan ang saro para magduman ka sa saro. They can complement each other.
Yes, very important pa rin naman po yung mga locally produced. Ang nakikita ko lang po dyan na problema, kung gusto mo na mag-reconcile, kasi may hinapot po katang heterogeneity of data na gusto mo nang i-reconcile, this time, iningaya ang sources niya from the government. Tapos nagkuha ko ngayong sources na, let's say, generated by satellite, mga, kunwari ito po sa land area. So that's the problem, that's where the problem comes na, paano na si pag-reconcile? Pag gusto mo mag-reconcile ng mga data. Pero sometimes, like for example po sa case ito po sa carrying capacity na, di nagtugma si land area na sa government sa um, sa tourism office kasi may data sinda. Hindi siya nagtugma duman sa Google Earth. Ang ginibo ko, hinapot ko na lang si tourism officer na what is the ano ba dito yung reliable na data kasi ipo-present ko to sa this will be part of our research. So pinapa-verify ko na lang po sa yung mas nakakaalam. Yun, heterogeneity of data po pag sakaling iba't iba na po yung sources niya. Yun po, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Wala pa si Vanessa. Let me take over po. There's a question from Ma'am Teen Gumba. So thank you, Ma'am Yumi, for your informative lecture on big data analysis. I recognize the value of big data in our research endeavors. I am concerned, however, with the generation of data in more specific contexts, especially in municipalities that lack baseline data but need developmental studies and interventions. So the question is, how do you think can this be addressed in the new normal? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tid. Actually, if you have seen one of the website na pinakita ko kanina, yung Philippine Institute for Development Studies, they provide in some of them in municipal level, pero hindi lahat ng mga variables. I think you can still go back to the traditional na pupunta ka talaga dun sa mga municipal offices to get this data. Kasi dito naman sa new normal, we are still naman allowed na lumabas, only that of course there are some protocols that we need to follow. Not necessarily na talagang ang sources mo would be the big data na. So kumbaga yun, pwede ka pa rin bumalik doon sa kung talagang wala available online or hindi siya available in any website. I guess you can go to the traditional of gathering your data. Meron din that's big practice in the Philippines, in citizen science, wherein we invite volunteers to gather data. Yung mismo nandun sa locality, kumbaga sa atin mga enumerators, to get those data na hindi available sa walang database yung government, hindi lang siya available online. So we go back to the traditional data gathering.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for answering the question. There is a question from Alvin Sario from UST, Legazpi. Our country is lagging behind the optimization of big data in the public sector compared to Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So the question is, how can we actually harness big data analytics for our country's productivity and development? What can we actually do? So
I think, okay, siguro ang personal ko lang dyan would be, I think the IT or specific sector in our government could invest on this data. Kasi may mga sophisticated data analytics tayo na ginagamit. Hindi lang yung mga simpleng statistics lang. For example, this COVID-19, in the analysis of its data, it uses sophisticated data analytics, combination of statistics, optimization, simulation. If we really want to make use of this big data analytics, I think the government should invest on this one. And of course, also the institution, kasi may mga softwares na pwede nating gamitin to further analyze those data. Thank you po. Thank you, Sir Alvin.
Thanks, ma'am, for answering the question. There's a message from Sir Kuya that he can share if you want to become a data scientist. DOST and DOP has a program for this. So you may message our technical
Sige.
expert.
Kaya nga sabi ko, usually po yung mga institutions should ask the assistance of the IT personnel, IT staff, or kung ano yung appropriate na for that to help to further para maka-adapt yung school ng mga ganitong data analytics method.
And there's another question from the Partido Institute of Economics of the Partido State University. So let me read the question po. Given the proliferation of fake accounts and false information in the social media, especially I guess on Facebook, how would this affect the reliability and accuracy of big data from such sources?
Okay, usually, tingnan muna natin yung sources natin, okay? Kasi like ngayon nga sa Facebook na nagkakaroon ng problema, I think we should be careful on the websites na kinukuhanan natin ng data. For example, ngayon na may mga Facebook accounts na may mga kumokopya ng mga identities. Siguro for now, yung mga sources natin, if one of your sources would be Facebook, siguro wag ko muna kumuha ng data on that kasi sa ngayon nagkakaroon ng problema. So it's important na we also check the background of the website na nag-offer ng mga, na nagpo-provide ng mga big data for us to be able to check kung accurate ba yung data nila or hindi. And I think sa may mga institutions tayo na kailangan kasi na meron data protection officer na para yung mga ma-access natin na websites are those websites na trustworthy, okay, na hindi I think I have that. Okay. Yan, mga data information officer, data protection officer. Okay, data protection officer para tulungan yung mga researchers na yung makukuha ng nilang data will be free from this mga problems. Thank you. Thank you po, Sir Alvin.
There's a message from the technical, Ma'am Yumi, sa group chat. Okay.
I haven't heard of Project Sparta, pero sige po. Thank you po sa technical team na very much willing magbigay. Although, sorry I have not answered. Siguro hindi ako nakapag-provide ng very clear answers sa lahat. Kasi this is more on IT issues. Kasi pagdating sa mga data privacy, saka mga cyber hacking, gano'n.
Okay. Ma'am, there's a question from, this was sent to me via private message, but I guess this was posted on Facebook. So the question is from Sir Gary Desilio of the Mathematics program of the Partido State University. Paano po ba mag-extract ng data for analysis considering big, huge yung data set? The follow-up question is, ano yung tools na pwedeng gamitin daw po?
Actually, ang mga software po natin can analyze big data. Okay? SPSS, Minitab, wala naman siyang limit usually. It can analyze big data. Actually, may nang tanong sa akin, kailangan po po mag-sampling pagkukuha ka ng mga data, big data. Actually, hindi ako nag-suggest ng sampling. Sabi ko, total enumeration mo na, lahatin mo na yan. Total, wala ka naman cost efficient siya, saka time efficient. Yun na, I think the software, they are naman capable of analyzing big data. What's the second question po, Sir Earl?
Yung follow-up po is, ano po daw yung tools na pwede daw po gamitin to extract daw po yung...
For example, yung simulation optimization, they analyze historical data. So, very big data. Optimization and simulation methods.
Okay, thank you po. Do we have any more questions from our Zoom or Facebook participants, or maybe insights or something you want to share related to big data? Okay, I guess we can now end our open forum, but before we formally end our lecture, may I call Dr. Gumba to give a closing message for our segment this afternoon, for the entire week segment of the Balongibog Talks. Dean?
Thank you, Earl. Thank you very much, Ma'am Yumi, Vivien de Luna, for a very informative lecture. Thank you very much, ma'am. So, this is the last lecture for this segment, which we call Situating Advanced Education in the New Normal. So, first of all, of course, I'd like to thank the organizers, the sponsors of Balongibog lecture series, Museo de Isarog, Office of the President of Partido State University, Office of the Board Secretary, Center for Partido Studies, Partido Institute of Economics, College of Arts and Sciences, and PASFEC. So, John Hernandez actually is the overall coordinator of this segment. Thank you very much, Earl. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for bringing all the people together to make this 1 week lecture a success. Thank you to our MCs, Miss Lizelle Atole, Sir Roland John Bulao, and Miss Vanessa May Romero. And of course to my colleagues in the School of Graduate Studies who were our main resource speakers since Monday, Dr. Wendy Solomo, Tuesday, Dr. Mariel Estrella, Wednesday, Mr. Charlie Balagtas, yesterday, myself, and today, of course, Miss Ma'am Yumi, Vivien de Luna. Thank you very much for our lecture. Very informative and timely, and I'm sure our participants learned a lot. And of course, thank you for all the participants who were actually here since Monday. Some were not able to make it in some days, but they try to really join us for the week-long lecture. Of course, my fellow faculty members in Partido State University, our students, the Council of Deans for Graduate Education, Dean Alex Sario is the Dean of the Graduate School of UST Legazpi. Thank you, sir, for still being here. And our colleagues in the Philippine Association for Graduate Education, we had a participant from Davao Medical Center, from Davao, and of course from the Jose Rizal Memorial State University. And it's also an honor that we were also joined by the officers from the Commission on Higher Education of Region 5. Ma'am Dr. Pam Viñas has been with us since Monday. Thank you very much, Ma'am Pam. And she was also invited some of her colleagues also to join us in the week-long lecture series. Of course, our fellow teachers from other HEIs, Ateneo Dinaga, Daniel Peña College, University of Northeastern Philippines, CSPC, CBSUA. Thank you very much. And we also had a visitor from the local government unit. So I'm very thankful for the very supportive administration of Partido State University. It's always our commitment to promote the culture of intellectual discourse in our university. So this is very much manifested by this program, this project of Museo de Isarog and Company, the Balongibog lecture series. So I understand there will be more segments in the coming months, weeks and months, still initiated by Sir Earl. So thank you very much, everyone. Good afternoon.
Thank you po, Dean. Salamat po sa message. Let me give po a short promotion, and thank you rin po sa ating... Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gusto ko rin mag-thank you kasi nanood po yung asawa ko and my mom and of course my daughter. Thank you very much. And sa lahat po na nanood po nitong webinar. Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to mention the sa audit team po, salamat po sa pagpapahiram ng inyong Zoom subscription habang wala pa pong subscription ulit yung Balongibog Talk. So thank you Sir Ken and Dean for sa pagpapahiram po ng Zoom and for helping us. Just a quick promotion for our upcoming panels. We'll be having a food security panel by second or third week of July, and an IP panel sa Indigenous People Studies panel sa last week of July with some PSU colleagues. Nandito po si Ma'am Sheila Amoroso, si Ma'am Sen Penino of both from Partido State University, and also with Dr. Oona Paredes of UCLA. We'll also be having some panels na pinag-uusapan po on early modern period with Dr. Acabado and other colonialist scholars and many more. So we're also fixing a Bicol anthropology archaeology panel maybe by August to September. So mabalas po sa gabos and thank you po. Bye-bye.
Thank you.